Hi everybody. So quickly, audio check, video check. You guys are able to see things, and are you able to hear me? All right. If you can, just mention on the chat once. Anybody who is online, I see some people are online already. Um, so let me open the IDE. Just confirm that the font size is also visible to you guys. Okay, cool. So, in continuation from the last video, I updated the create user function a little bit. मैं बता देता हूँ बस last video end point तक जिसने देखा था उसके बाद से तो यूज़र एग्जिस्ट करता है कि नहीं उसकी मैंने एक मैनुअल चेक डाल दी है repo डॉट फाइंड वन किया ईमेल से क्योंकि ईमेल प्राइमरी की है and if there is an user existing then I throw an error that user with this email exists. Otherwise I go and create the error, create the user. So that's the user create wala stuff that I have done. The next thing is we will be doing the login stuff, and as we do the login stuff, and then there's the JWT stuff. So it's important to understand how the authentication works. What is JWT? So that's what we'll cover in this video. This video today might be a bit short. I think maybe 1 hour से कम में हो जाएगा because I'll just cover the authentication part, and then अगली जो video होगी session होगी तो उसमें I will cover the business logic, basically entire operations like article create, comment on an article, delete a comment, delete an article, edit an article. How do we create the business logic part? So today the authentication part is important because all the logged in stuff has to be happening with with the like the article creating, the commenting, the favoriting, following each other, all of those things need authentication. Like you need the request needs to tell the server that okay, this request is from so and so user, तो उसके हिसाब से इस यूजर को इस यूजर के साथ फॉलो कराना है या आर्टिकल इस यूजर के हिसाब से create करना है. So every request must contain this token. So there's the let's just take a look at what the API specs requires us to do, and then we will discuss why JWT and all of that stuff. So if we look at the API readme again, so you'll see that authentication ke liye it has been mentioned that authorization token, we have to send a JWT token here like this. So this is just a sample stuff. So actual JWT token we have to make one. The objects that are written by the API, so in the user object there is a token. Now these tokens are not supposed to be saved in the database. These tokens are created on the fly, and we will see what that means. Okay, so if I look at the create user endpoint, for example, so when I register a user, okay, it returns an user object, and the return user object should contain the email, token, username, bio, image, all of that stuff. ठीक है. तो we will not be using passport here. ज़रूरत नहीं है because it's just an API. So when you're making only an API and not a full-fledged web app, so in that case your token implementation you can do it very easily on your own. We could use passport as well here, but passport would be overkill for our current needs. Here इतना ज़्यादा passport की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We can do it with a simple middleware. So we'll see that. Okay. Now the first thing is what is a JWT? Okay. Before going there, by the way, I'll just run the server once, show what's happening on Postman right now with this server. So by the way, people who are seeing this video or this live stream for the first time, the code for this project I am saving on this GitHub repository, which is coding blocks archive / conduit node.js TypeScript. That's the repository. The source code is all available there. If you want to discuss with other people who are also building the project and ask any doubts or queries, then we have a Discord channel. So I generally check that out. So cv.lk/discord, the link is there inside the the video description, and there's the Node.js channel where you can discuss about this project that you're making. Okay. Okay, so now that we have started our server, let me just open Postman for a while. Yeah, so the request that we have here is this create user request like this. Let's do one thing. Let us actually make sure that every time I start my server right now, for now it's just for development purposes, I will remove the data. So this is I have written already. So every time this server is started, all the tables are cleared basically. So if I kind of just log into my DB once, right, so there are these tables. There's article and user table. So if I check the user table, by the way, so slash or select star from, there are no rows here. Okay. By the way, I just noticed one thing during the video itself. I will mention the name of the table is article and user, which technically should be articles and users, because the table contains multiple articles, the table contains multiple users. One row is one user, the entire table multiple users. So if you want to change the name, that's easy to do. I haven't done that. I did not do that. So you can do is here, when you're creating this entity, you can give it a name. Give it the name users here like this. Okay. So this entity column takes the name of the database. Okay. Similarly, the articles, that's the name of the table. So if I just start my server again, you will notice something is that, so there's articles and users are the tables that have been created now. So this is a better way to do it. Keep them in plural name in the database, because for the database that table contains more than one article. Okay, so now when we create a user, right, when we send in the body user5 at mail.com, pass5, something like that. So we send that, and the user gets so user with this email already exists. Why did that happen? That's not supposed to happen. Oops. So is there a user that exists here? Let's just see. I forgot writing an await line there, and that is the mistake. Okay, so this user is created, user 5. So we get email, we get username, we get bio, we get image. But as the specification says, email, username, bio, image, there should also be a token. So how do we create this token here? That's the important thing there. So let's talk about the token for a while. So we will go to this website jwt.io, which is a nice place to check how JWT tokens are created and what JWT tokens are, which is a very common thing used for authentication in APIs a lot. So JWT is basically based on a very simple thing. There are three parts. There is a header. There is this red part is the header. This pink part is called the payload and the data, and the blue part is called the signature verification. So this part is kind of optional. The blue part might not exist as well. Okay, so you have to select a type of encryption that you would be using. I think this works better maybe on Chrome. This website is not working so nice on Firefox. You can try that out on Chrome. Oh, it's the same problem at Chrome as well. Anyway, check that. I think, yeah. So we have to give this payload which contains our data. So in our case, we can create a payload which contains the user user name and the email, which is basically basic information about the user. The payload should not contain very sensitive data like password or something like that. That should not be there in the payload. Although the payload, what happens is that this data here, this is base 64 encoded. So if you go to base 64 decode online, there are a lot of tools where you can do base 64, and you can do it in plain JavaScript. You can write in a console as well. So if I just take this string and I paste it here and I decode that, so this is simply this JSON object encoded here, right? If I take this one and I try to decode that, so that contains this data. So anybody who sees your token can actually read the data inside the payload. Okay, that's so you should not put sensitive data here. Now the very interesting part is if you take a look at this blue part and I decode that, right? So it let me just put a secret here. Let's say, you know, sorry, yeah. So we just take it and so this will not make a lot of sense, whatever the data that you create here, this the blue part. Now, whether you base64 decode it or not. So what is the blue part? The blue part is basically, as you can see, I don't know if you can read it here. We take the header, we take the payload, we encrypt it using a secret that we will define. Okay, and that's basically our signature. Now, any person who is not the developer of your project, they should not know this 256-bit secret here. So let me put a different secret here, something very secret like that I write here. Okay, now the thing is that if somebody takes the header and somebody takes the payload and then they sign it, they create a signature which is basically encrypted. They encrypt it using that secret that only you know, public does not know, only you know, right? So if they encrypt it, they will get this same blue string here. Now if I change the payload, right, if I change any information inside the payload, any person, what they can do is they can do this simple thing. Say this information is a name and this was the payload, right? So somebody gets to know your token, they decode it and they find out, oh, this is the data inside the token. So what they do is they go and then they take this data, say change the user ID, they change it to something else. Okay, change this number also to something else and change the name to somebody else. Okay, so I want to impersonate somebody else, I want to breach the security, so I change this data. Okay, so when I change this data and I try to encode it, I will get this stuff here. The problem is that if I take this and I paste it here, the signature verification will not be valid. The signature verification will not be valid because this blue part does not match. Now I cannot generate the blue part if I don't know this secret. Okay, so that's the security there. Anybody can read the data of your token, they can see what is inside it, but they can't change it and try to fool you because they can't encrypt it using the same secret. So with the blue part you can ensure, you can verify that okay, the data that is there is actually the same. Now why this JWT is useful is because you can transfer some data, authentication data, who is the user and all that stuff, you can transfer very easily using JWTs. So I will show you how JWT is used. So to use JWT, there is a npm module. So there's a lot of libraries here. So for Node.js, there is this library called JSON Web Token, right? So I'll just go to that particular library, which is the one that we're going to be using, npm install JSON Web Token, right? And how to work with that, we'll just check that. Okay, so there we go. We'll install this library. And just like we had done this utils and we had done a password util where we did the hash password, match password stuff, we did a security stuff. So we can do a utils/JWT, right? We can create a JWT file here. Okay. To use this, what is the way to do it? We do require JSON Web Token and JWT.sign and JWT.verify. These kind of things exist. Okay. So I'll do here. By the way, if sorry, JSON Web Token. If this is not again available, so we have to do the same thing. We'll do npm install type slash JSON web token. Okay, so then the red underline will go away. By the way, you will notice that all the types I keep inside dev dependencies because they are not needed to run the project. They are needed only to build the project. So here what I can do is create an async function, export it as well. Sign, which takes say a user object, okay, and returns, okay. So this sign object, what it will do is it will do JWT dot sign. In payload we will send this object, right, this object which will contain so I'll only pass username and email, okay. In the second part we have to send the secret, so let's just write here I'll write a to do here. This kind of a secret should not be available in your source code if you open source your project. So essentially we should move it to a config file separate from here and not put it here, but abhi ke liye we will just do it here because we just need to get the thing to build. Later on we will do all that sanitization stuff, so I kept a to do command, so later on we just remember that we move it to a config file. So JWT secret equal to some so ideally we should generate some random digits here, but right now just say some very secret string no one can guess. Just put a string like that here. So the second argument here would be my JWT secret, okay, and then my third argument will be the callback. So my callback will contain error and encoded, right. So sorry, we'll wrap this entire thing into a promise, return new promise, right. We'll do that stuff here. If there is an error we will reject with that error, and else we will resolve with the encoded data here, okay. So whatever is the encoded data, so that's probably a string, so sorry, there we go, my bad. This error think is gonna be of type okay. What error do we have? Okay, fine. So we're gonna get an error. If there is an error we will return reject. Now let's just try this file out like we did with the password one I showed in the last video, that we should run hash password and run match password and check our file is working or not. So similarly we can do it to the JWT file here. This is for testing, okay. I will not actually run this code later, I will delete this code. So So what we do here, we'll do const token equal to await, and we'll call sign, and we'll pass a user object. So how do we pass a user object? It needs email, right? So let me just say a@cb, which is my email ID, by the way, and username, let's say I pass Arnav, right? So these are the two things that are needed. Rest of the things are not needed. Just email and username can be created to create the token. And let's say we write here token and just pass the token. So let's see if that runs or not, right? So that's the token that's created here. Okay, let's take this token and let's paste it, by the way, in jwt.io and check if it was correctly created or not. So we can go to jwt.io, paste this token that was created. So this website can be used to check that. I paste this there. See, it contains HS256, this JWT, and it contains this thing Arnav a@cb.lk. All that stuff is there, right? The signature verification part, if we pass this correct signature here, it should show verified. So let me just paste it here, and you see signature is verified. Okay, so that's how tokens are created. Okay, this is the sign function, and similarly there would be verify function as well. So export async function, and so there is like jwt dot sign, there is another jwt dot, there is decode, and there is verify. So you can get a token and verify it as well, or you can you can decode as well. Okay, so when you decode, you should make sure it is verified or not. So let's just see this. So we do decode. It will get a user object, in fact, out of it. That's the idea. Okay, so what we'll do jwt dot decode first. So when we do jwt dot decode, we will pass the token, which will take from here. Okay, and oh, where's the wait a second, there should be so there's a verify, and there is a dot decode. So I think we should use the verify only. We'll pass the token, and we'll pass the secret, which would be JWT secret, and we'll pass the callback here. Okay, so we'll do something similar here as well. So if there is an error, okay, so then we'll just reject with that error. Okay, if otherwise this decoded thing, what will it contain? So dot verify, let's just print it and see what it contains. Okay, so let me just keep a promise any for this, and okay, so we create the token, then we can do const decoded equal to decode this particular token that we just created, and console.log what we just decoded. So let's see what we get when we decode it. Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, I forgot that. So we get this decoded stuff here when we create it. So this IAT is something that exists in JWT. Not getting into that for now. You can read up about what IAT is in JWT. But yeah, we get the username and the email and all that stuff that we get inside this decoded thing, right? So let's define a type. Let's see if it is of type user, and then so return resolve as user type like this. We just do it. So this testing is not needed. Everything is working fine for now. It is getting decoded. So this is my sign and my decode function. So with the sign and the decode function, what we can do here is when the user signs up, right? Go to the controller for the users. So when the user has signed up, I'll just write some comments here. So check for data validity. Okay. Then check if user exists. If all that passes, then create user and send back. So this is where we create the user, right? Apart from the sanitize fields, what we will also do is user dot token we will do, and this token thing does not exist here as it shows. So we can do is go to the user object, and we can add that token thing here. So now you see everything has a primary column or a column or something written like that. For token, I'm not going to write that. Why? Because the token is never going to be saved in the database. Okay, so I will not write that token is a column or something, because in DB the token will not go. But here we can do is user.token equal to await will sign with the user object. Okay, you can import sign from here. Okay, so await sign the user object, and we get user.token like this. Cool. So now if I just go and create a user again, if I go to the server, and this time if I create my user again, so let's see what happens. So yeah, so now when I create a user, I get the token along with it. Okay, so every time we'll get a token when we create a user. Okay, cool. Okay, I will just be back in 2 minutes. There's somebody at the door. I will go and check that. Okay, I'll pause the video for a while I do that. Okay. Going ahead, let's create the other controllers that we need. So this is the sign up that's been done. We need to do something similar when we do a login as well. So when we are signing up, we are getting the email, the username, bio, image, all of that stuff. Next thing we need to do is implement login part as well. Okay, so how do we implement the login? Let's do that. So and collapse this. Let's create a new function. So export async function. This would be login user, right? By the way, this function, what are we returning? If we're returning a user, or so we can write that so that this function returns a promise user, right? Login user would also return a promise user. Okay. What does the login user function need? So login user function, like the user sign up data, we can create an interface user login data. So for logging in, we need the email and the password, I think. Let's just check the API docs once again. So to login, we need email and password, right? So we'll take email and I will take password. Okay. There are two things that we need when we are going to be logging in. So login data, we'll take it of user login data type. Okay, so just like we have done it here. Okay. So we'll do kind of similar things here. We can do the check for data validity part here. So wherever there is common code, we can probably move that out to common stuff as well. We'll check those things also one by one. So it's called data there, so that's fine. Username is not available, so email and password only. That's the first thing that we'll do. Then we can do the const repo equal to get custom repository. Get repository of user type. Okay, so first we'll check if email exists. So first we'll do is const existing equal to await repo dot find one with this email, right? Now when you do that, if here the logic is a little different. Here if it existed there, we threw an error. Here if it does not exist, if not existing, okay, so then we'll throw an error. Okay, no user with this email ID. Okay, so that's the error we will throw. If it does exist, then we will have to go and check the other things. So what we'll do is check if password matches. So const match. So for that we will do is match password. For match password, we will pass the hash. So for the hash, what we need to pass is repo dot, the user that we just fetched, existing dot password, and we will match it with data dot password. Now remember, the data dot password is a basic string, right? The existing password would be the hash that we have saved into the database. Okay, so we'll cast it to a string. Or just make sure that is not null. And here we can then if not pass match, so we'll throw a new error. Wrong password. And if all things are fine by here, so everywhere I throw, so if I throw, my execution stops there. Okay, if I've reached till this line here, it means everything has gone fine till now. If things have gone fine till now, then we will do the same thing here. We will do is user dot token. Oh, sorry, existing dot token will do. So existing dot token equal to sign this guy. Then we'll do is, or I can in fact just change this to user itself. Okay, so we'll check if we'll add the token. We'll also sanitize the fields. sanitize fields of user. Oh, I think we had not done this. Did we do return user, right? So sanitize the user and we return it. So we add the token and then we do that. So this is the login user functionality that is done. So we check for the data validity, check for if the email exists, then we check if the password matches. If all of that is fine, then we'll sanitize the user and we send it to the root. Now we'll have to add the root for this. So the root would be root slash user. I think here we had the login one where this is the sign up one. This registers a new user. This is the login one. So what we'll do here, I'll do something similar. So try const user equal to await login user. So similar code as what is written below with reg.body.user. Okay, if it works, then that's fine. We will return with 200 status dot JSON. We will send the user back. If it does not exist, right, we can actually copy the code here. Login failed, and the reason for that login failed, both the messages would go there. Okay, so let's restart it and see if our login is working this time. Okay, so let's start it. So this is my sign up request. So we send this, user is created. Okay, let's try to log in. So we'll do a post request on API slash users slash login. Okay, and here we would, in the body, we would send something similar without the username is not needed now. So do email and we password, and we'll send this. So login has worked. If I send a wrong password, oh, apparently that is working. Why is that working? We'll have to check that. So definitely something wrong here. If I change the email, then that fails. Okay, why is that password matching working, right? That's the thing that we need to check. So to find the user, if match password with user.password and data.password, we are doing that. So if the pass match does not work, then we are supposed to throw a wrong password. Let's do is put a breakpoint here and run with a debugging, right? So we'll see what is user.password and we'll see what is data.password. So we'll be able to see why an error has occurred, if it has occurred. Okay, so let's do a login. Oh, we haven't created a user this time. Okay, so when we're doing a match password, we are getting user.password is this particular line. Data.password, we are getting pass5. Is the match password function not working correctly? So let's check that. We return reject, otherwise we resolve same. Let's go to the next line. So what did we get in? Okay, so this is also an awaited function. I forgot that, so I keep on missing await a bit. My bad. So this is also another problem when you're working with type-free languages like Node.js. At the end of the day, it's JavaScript at runtime, although TypeScript gives us a lot of things. So when you do a if not pass match kind of a thing, what you get without await is you get the promise object. A promise object is, after all, like it exists, so it is true. So for Boolean, you should do like this. If you really should check, I think the better thing is if I did it like this. You know, a good practice is if I did this. And this would not match actually. So that's the benefit of TypeScript, which I was not using. It's my mistake. So when I'm using TypeScript, what we should do is, you know, use a proper match. So proper type safe matches. They will automatically fail if I forget writing that. If I do await, it will not fail because it now knows that the data that is coming. So it also suggests me ki acha, acha, you do it like this, but then this does not have the type safety. Okay, so it's better is that we let it be. We can suppress it for this statement, that pointless boolean expression. We can remove that no inspection, or we can keep it yellow. So the thing is that it's always better that you match it to an actual boolean value rather than do it in that sense. So this helps you prevent that error where the not match thing comes out to be true. Anyway, so now it should work properly. Let's see. Let's create the user again. So user created. Let's try logging in. Login works. If I change the password, so wrong password, it fails. Okay, with correct password it works. With wrong email ID also it fails. Okay, some websites they don't tell you whether the email is wrong or the password is wrong. They give you a generic error that either email or password is wrong. You can do that, it's up to you, it's your choice. You can send the same error in this case and this case as well. Okay, so that's up to you. I'm doing it separate cases just to show that there are separate cases. One is where the email ID does not exist. That's the first thing that you will notice. If it does exist, then you match the password, and if it does not match, so that stuff also comes up. Okay, cool. So that's how login of our user works. Now I want to add the the facility to update the bio and the image of the user. Let's go and do that as well. Okay, and that is where our handling of the token would be needed. So let's see why the token is needed. Fine. So let me just commit till now here. If anybody has any questions, very few people are watching today, I know, because it's not the usual time. But if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and put it on chat. I'll just read them a while. Okay. Okay. If you have some questions, let me just read those. अच्छा, कोई पूछा था JWT कहाँ पे है. So JWT वाला stuff is inside utils. JWT.ts के अंदर है. Right. Sign and decode functions I've created there. और कुछ किसी ने पूछा है तो इट इज़ एनक्रिप्टेड विद SHA-256. येस, राइट नाउ आप चूज कर सकते हो. बहुत सारे एल्गोरिदम्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. JWT.io पे इट्स गिवन देयर. You can use HMAC with 256 SHA, SHA 354, 384, SHA 512, and then there is RMA scheme as well, with which you can also use SHA 256. So they have their different pros and cons. The ones which are more heavily encrypted will make your server slower as well. Ones which are less heavily encrypted are faster, but then you lose on security because they can be brute forced. A lot of those pros and cons are there. In general, HMA256 tokens for user authentication is kind of fine for unless you're creating something like a bank kind of website. In those cases, it's probably not fine. For any general blogging site, social media site, it is fine. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Cool. Okay, so profile update needs somebody to be signed in. ठीक है. Okay, some questions, some more. I will just take that. Any scope of using Redis in such an application? I think we can use Redis here for द कमेंट्स इनसाइड आर्टिकल्स. तो अगर बहुत आर्टिकल्स हो गए और आर्टिकल्स के अंदर कमेंट्स भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो गए, तो सम आर्टिकल्स हैव से 15-20 कमेंट्स, एंड बाय डिफॉल्ट यू जस्ट वांट टू शो 5 टॉप कमेंट्स. जैसे मीडियम पे इफ यू ओपन, सो यू विल सी आर्टिकल के नीचे ओनली द 2 or 3 top comments are shown. Rest of the comments you have to open the comments screen for that. So for that you can cache maybe the top comment by an article ID. So आर्टिकल आईडी 3 के टॉप 3 कमेंट्स को कैश करके रेडिस पे रख दिया, आर्टिकल आईडी 4 के टॉप 3 कमेंट्स को कैश करके रख दिया, सो दैट दे कैन बी पिक्ड अप फास्टर. नाउ व्हेन यू वांट टू एक्चुअली सर्च कमेंट्स प्रॉपर्ली, फिल्टर देम बाय रीसेंट कमेंट, टॉप कमेंट, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. फॉर दैट यू कैन रन डीबी क्वेरीज, क्योंकि कम लोग करते हैं उस चीज़ को. मोस्ट पीपल विल ओपन द आर्टिकल पेज, सो दे विल क्विकली बी एबल टू लोड द कमेंट्स. सो दैट्स अ केस वेयर यू कैन यूज रेडिस बेस्ड कैशे फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ एन एप्लीकेशन. Hope that makes sense. So Meghraj asking, can you tell the level of this project? Can we add this as a project for product startups, early phases? Yes, for small startups, if you're applying, you can build a project like this and show. Although I would say कि इस वाले series में just this is the third video I'm doing. I'm just making the API, just the backend. ठीक है. Ideally, if you make a full stack project, इसी का साथ में अगर आप front end भी बना दो, I will make the front end of this project. Afterwards, next month probably. So that's in my roadmap. I have made the front end for this project using Android already. In the last 2 weeks में मैंने बनाया था already. So if you make the front end also for this, either on web or on Android, so if it's full stack, if it's the back end and the front end both, that makes it even stronger. But yeah, just as a back end development project, if you want to show this, you can definitely show it. The only thing is when a front end does not exist, तो उसको showcase करने में थोड़ी दिक्कत होती है. It's just the API that you can show. Right, but as a level of project, this definitely can be shown. This is good enough for that case. Cool. Does that answer it? Do we need logic in client side to decrypt? We don't need it. The client will simply save the token and send it back. The client does not need to decrypt the token. It has no purpose for that. We can add client side token to decode the payload. That is just base64 decode. base64 decode can be done very easily using A2B and B2A functions. तो अगर हम इस टोकन की बात करें जो हमको मिला है, ठीक है, तो इस टोकन को अगर हम ले, अगर हम फ्रंट एंड की बात करें, तो मैं अपने ब्राउज़र में अगर खोलूँ 2 सेकंड के लिए, इफ़ आई ओपन दी कंसोल हियर, राइट, सो let token equal to this string, right, token dot split on dot. ठीक है, तो मेरे को ये चीज़ें मिल जाएंगी. टोकन डॉट स्प्लिट डॉट डॉट के अंदर जो मैं सेकंड आइटम है उसको ले लेता हूँ अगर, और इसको अगर मैं A2B कर देता हूँ इस चीज़ को, तो आपको मिल जाएगा जो चीज़ चाहिए था. ठीक है, इसको आप वो कर दो JSON डॉट पार्स एंड देन उसके अंदर A2B टोकन डॉट स्प्लिट 1 को डाल देते हैं. So we can easily read the username and the email like this from the client side. Okay, so you can use the data from the JWT maybe अगर आपको easily username कहीं दिखाना है, sign in हो रहा है user इस टाइप की चीज़ों के लिए, तो you can do that. But generally we don't use the token much for transferring data as such. उसके लिए API calls exist करती है. So the token is just there to verify and validate and all that stuff. Cool. Make sense? ठीक है. Okay. So what do we need next is to make the authenticated calls. तो authenticated calls हमारे पास क्या है? Let's see API call. So this is the authentication endpoint. This is the registration endpoint. This is the get current user. तो get current user में authentication चाहिए होता है to get the data of the current user after logging in. ठीक है, और अगर मेरे को अपडेट करना है करंट यूज़र को, ईमेल बायो वगैरह हमें डालना है. ठीक है, तो उसके लिए वी विल हैव दिस रूट. रूट्स के अंदर यूज़र वाला रूट होगा. ठीक है, तो इसके अंदर गेट यूज़र के अंदर गेट करंट यूज़र एंड विल हैव अ पोस्ट ऑल्सो फॉर दिस. पोस्ट ही आई थिंक टू अपडेट द डेटा. पुट यूज़ किया उन्होंने. सो पुट रिक्वेस्ट एट स्लैश यूज़र. सो update data of current user. So technically put use नहीं होना चाहिए. इस API में थोड़ी सी error है I would say. So if you go to REST API on Wikipedia, there's a nice table which tells you about REST API के जो standards होते हैं. So there's a table here. Okay. Semantics. So अच्छा पूरा table यहाँ से चला गया कहीं. That's bad. I think this used to be the entire put thing. So I don't know. So REST API put versus patch. If we just check, so I think there should be some answers, good answers about it. Basically, what I want to show the answer here is that put basically replaces the entire content and patch replaces only the keys that are available. Basically what it means is, so I will show you to using a description. So अगर मेरे पास एक डेटा एग्जिस्ट करता है, एग्जिस्टिंग डेटा है A10 B20, okay, and then I make a put request of B30 C40, and if I make a patch request of the same thing, ठीक है, so the result would be, in this case it would be when I do a put, the result would be exactly what I put here. In case of patch, the result would be A10 B30 and C40. So in case of patch, what happens is the keys that we have patched, those are updated, okay, any extra keys they are added, but any existing keys they remain. So that's called patching operation. And putting means whatever data is there, that is replaced with the new data that's coming. So that's a bit of a error, I think, in the API that the real world team has created. This should not be put, this should be patch, because if I just put these three things, then what about username, what about the password, those things are not getting updated. So we should use a patch request instead. So I will actually make a patch request, okay. So I will do it the correct way. Their API has something wrong, so we'll do root.patch, okay. और यहाँ पे अगर हम रूट को पैच करें तो ठीक है. Now this should get the current user and this should update the data of the current user. Now in both the cases we need to know the authenticated user in this case, ठीक है. तो हम क्या करेंगे, यहाँ पे एक हम middleware बनाएंगे. So we'll create a table, another folder called middleware. So middlewares are easy to use functions which you can put in front of a root to do some work before something else happens. So I'll just show you what. So we'll create a folder called middleware, okay. We'll create a new middleware here, और auth करके नाम दे देते हैं, ठीक है. So here let's do is so what are the things that go inside a middleware? This a request object, right. I think इसको handler के form में हम कर सकते हैं. So there's something called request handler, I think. So anyway, let's do request from express के अंदर जो request होगा this, res जो होगा वो response होगा from express, and next जो होगा express का next function होगा. So this is the function and that I do. So and I name it say auth by token. Okay, what this function will do is we'll do the token we will find out equal to rec dot header, and we'll find out the header called authorization. Okay, we will split it by a space, and then take the first item out of it. Why? I'll explain. So जो header है हमारा authorization, I think authentication header का नाम है. So authorization, then token, and then JWT token here इस तरह से आता है. So this is the data of the authorization header. We want the token space वाला part here. ठीक है. So let's just see auth header equal to rec dot header authorization. Let's just go with this dot split. Okay, so we can do a couple of things here. If auth header 0 not equal to अगर auth header ही नहीं है, so we can do is return res dot status, and we can do 400 and dot send some like error, I think. That's the format of the error, I believe, right? Errors. Okay, this is the format of the error. I will just do that. Right, so I'll write here that authorization failed. So technically for authorization failed HTTP status codes, if we look what are the different HTTP status codes that exist. So there is 400 series of errors would exist unauthorized, so when authentication does not exist. So we can just write 401 for this case, that authorization failed. Okay, now if auth user is not of type token, okay, so in that case also we should write the same thing. Maybe you can write two messages here. For this case we can write token missing. Then we can check if that token that exists on the second side. So token equal to would be auth header 1, the second part of it. We'll do is const user equal to and we'll decode it. So we'll decode the token. Okay, I'll get the user, and we'll do rec dot user equal to user. You can write, I think, like this. Is the user defined already somewhere? Okay, let's see. So we'll do and then we'll call next. Okay, so what are we doing here? Let's I'll just write that out in the comments here for a while. So any questions here? I'll just write here, check if authorization header exists, check if authorization type is token, decode token, and so first of all we should also check if token is valid. In fact, we should like do this as well. Okay, so await, we should in fact try catch it, I guess. We should try. If we don't get a user, then we should throw an error here. Or I think that's fine. I think we will be able to decode something, or the other we might be able to, if it's possible that it can be undefined as well. So let's write that. Okay, so no user found in token, we can throw that, right? Then we'll do is so if you are not using semicolons anywhere, then statements that start with braces should have a semicolon, because otherwise braces can be considered as part of the last line. It can be thought of like this, so that's why I should use semicolons here. Anyway, so if no user, will throw this error, and we'll do next. If we catch an error here, in that case we'll do something similar. Okay, so authorization failed in that case as well. Okay, so this is my auth by token middleware. What it essentially does, I will just show you, is that if I look at my get user function, I can write here auth by token, and then go to async. So what happens if I write auth by token here is that in this function I can check if rec.user exists or not. Okay, so here in fact we can do one thing better as well. This user is only contain username and email, right? So we can write here do that if rec.user exists, so we'll have to cast that again. Right, so if rec.user exists, then we'll do is I will have to create a controller again for users. So this is a create user controller, this is a login user controller. We can create another export async function, get user by email, and we just need the email here as a string. We can say that promise user in this case as well. So we don't need this data validation stuff here anymore. We'll just need the repository. We'll do const user equal to this, right? If not user, so we can throw a new error. No user with this email ID. So that's my error, let's just say. And otherwise we can do is again the sanitization and stuff we might need to do. So okay, So this is my get user by email. So I will do here is if rec.user exists, right? So const user equal to await, we would have what's the name, get user by email. So get user by email, and we'll pass so then I will have to, yeah, so get rec dot so we'll take the user from the request, find the email inside it, and we'll try to find the entire user object out of it. Now why I'm doing that, because this authentication middleware that we have here, what it does is it only does the decode thing. So when it will decode, it will only find out username and email. It will not find out the rest of the data like bio, image, all of that stuff. Why? Because we are only putting the username and the email inside the JWT token. We are not putting the entire user object. It does not make sense to bulk your JWT. You can only put that much data with which you can recreate the user object again. So with the only with the email, in fact, even the username was not needed. Only with the email we can make a query to a DB and actually repopulate all the fields, right? So we can do that. So now you can put the rest of the data as well into the token, but then that makes the token also bigger. It's not needed in my opinion. Okay. So the auth middleware, what it will do is it will add the user object into rec.user. So you put this middleware here. So when this request will come, this function will actually run first, and then my function will run. So by the time the code reaches my function, rec.user object should already exist if the token was correctly provided. If it was not correctly provided, then the middleware would have already sent a response back that just fuck off, there is no authorization available, right? So that does that job. Now if the user object exists, so we fetch the user object, and then we can do res dot sorry if rec.user does not exist, in that case you can do a 404 or something like that. No such user found, we send that, and then we don't need this old res.send stuff anymore. Okay. Let's see if the get user thing is going to work for me now. So I'll just run the code again. So we'll sign up, we will log in, and then we will check with the token if I can fetch my own user object or not. So let's do a sign up. We got it, right? So when we sign up, we have got this token already. So in fact, we can use this token, use a new request, and we can do a get request to /user. In headers, we'll pass authorization, and we will pass token and this value. Okay. So if I send a get request to API/user, and in authorization we pass all of that stuff, the token. So we send, we get the user. Okay. If my token is wrong, if I don't pass authorization, it will say no authorization header. If I don't write token, if I write some other thing, so there will be error authentication, it will say token is missing. If I pass token but my token is wrong, JWT malform. Okay. If I pass wrong JWT, right? Sorry. So if I pass a wrong JWT, okay, so what I do is try to authenticate using a wrong JWT. I will pass this JWT once here. Okay. I will change the data a little bit. I will try to authenticate as user number 4 by chance. Okay. So take this modified JWT and pass that instead. Send. So probably some case that I did not handle. Okay. So we got an unhandled promise rejection warning, no such user with this email ID. So here the unhandled promise rejection has happened. So you have thrown this error, get user by email, I have not done a try catch. Okay. So here I should do a try catch on this, right? Let's do something. Let's write a try catch here. Let's do this here. If not user, let's throw a new error, and in this case pass this data, no such user found. Okay, do the return here, then write a catch with the error and write this stuff inside the catch. So you don't need to write this here. Okay, so let's run again. So that was a case that I did not handle. We should have did this via try catch as well. Now I will try it again. So we sign up, we get a JWT, we try it out with the wrong JWT here. No such user with this email ID. That's what I get, because my JWT was of user4@mail.com, which does not exist. So I get a corresponding error for that. Okay, so that's kind of it. Now if I try to modify this data again, like user7 like that, if I do, okay, if I change my secret to something else, right, take this and then I put that data here, so invalid signature. Okay, so only way somebody can actually authenticate themselves is if they actually use the token that they were given. So the server will give a client a token. If the client only uses that token later, only in that case the authentication will work, otherwise the authentication will not work. So if I take the token that I was given, like do everything by the book, how I'm supposed to do, in that case I get my user object back. Okay, so that's getting the user object. If you are following through, what you can do is I will do it in the next video where I write the business logic, but you can go ahead and write the code for updating the user object as well, where you can allow people to update their bio, update their image, and all of that stuff you can do in the root.patch call there. Okay, so that you can do. In the next video we will do that. We will cover the business logic, right? So we will see how to add articles, edit articles, favorite an article, comment on that, all of that business logic, because we now have user creation is working for us, login is working for us, authentication is working for us. So we can make requests with authentication and we can make requests without authentication. All of that stuff is all set up and that's working. So it'll be easy to go ahead and write the business logic part of the code in the next session. Cool. So meet you guys in the next session. Any questions? Any questions? Where is the code for that then, and how does Postman display the payload without decrypting? Okay, so I'll just answer those questions here. Postman is not showing the payload. Postman is showing the response. So in response, I'm sending the user object. So Postman cannot decrypt this. I mean, Postman is not like, it just shows the response. Postman is not a place for decrypting. You can put this into jwt.io and see the decrypted value, right? So Postman is not doing any job of decryption. This is the response that we are sending, because as you can see here, if my authentication has worked, I send the user object in JSON. That's what Postman is showing. Postman is not doing any decryption work. So that's one thing. Put and post में HTML body में कोई difference नहीं होता. So when you're doing synchronous requests from your forms in HTML, you can only use get and post. You can't use any of the other ones when you're doing a form submission. Like if you have a HTML form and you want to submit that. When you are making an asynchronous submission, like via jQuery, Ajax, or using Axios library, or using XML HTTP request, or doing via Postman, or you're doing a client to server kind of a stuff, then you can use all the available REST API methods that you can use them. Now, technically, there is a convention behind REST API which says that put is to replace items and patch is to update items. You can use put for updating, you can use patch for replacing. That would be you doing something other than what the convention says. So conventions are basically loose rules by which everybody agrees to play. Conventions are not any, they are not strict, they are not enforced upon anybody, right? So you can obviously go against the convention and do stupid stuff, right? Generally we name classes with a capital letter, we name objects with a small letter. You can do the other way around as well, right? So that's what. So the reason why I use patch here is because ideally you should use patch when you're updating only a few fields. If you update the entire user object, then you should use the put method. Cool. Uh, Line 77 user controller try catch. Line 77. Oh, sorry. So that's what I think in later on the video you have seen that when I threw this error, it got caught here. So my bad, I did not see that message actually. Refresh tokens are not used with JWTs. With JWTs, we use expiration date. JWTs cannot be unauthenticated from the server side till their expiration crosses. So those are some methods that exist. You know. So token expiration, I think you have already asked Mani Nayak. So you can check up how tokens can expire. That's there in the documentation. In fact, we can implement that at the end of the project. Fine tuning stuff. So if you look at how to implement expiration, so there are ignore expiration. There's an expiration clock. Those kind of things you can add there. Okay. So how to expire tokens you will find in the documentation of JSON Web Token repository. Cool. How to see the encrypting function that is being used? You can obviously go and look at the source code of JSON Web Token. It obviously uses some C++ code, I believe, to do the actual encryption. So it would be probably using I don't know. So if you look at the package.json, they would be using crypto.js kind of library, I believe. What are the dependencies? So we can check in obviously the JS part. I think it's in the JWS library. So this is the Node JWS library, JSON Web Signatures, and this would actually contain the implementations of these signatures, which is HMAC signatures and RSA signatures and ECDSA signatures. You can go and look at them. I believe it most likely would be using native libraries to do that encryption rather than doing it in JavaScript, because that's faster to do that. You can read about all of these on Wikipedia as well, like HMAC encryption, how it works, RSA encryption, how it works, ECDSA, how it works, all of that stuff with Alice and Bob examples, they would be available, right? Okay, so I will end the video here. Everybody who was watching, everybody who would watch the video later on, if you have any other questions, cv.lk/discord, you can join that. This is our Discord channel. I am available if you want to ask something about the Node.js project. There's a Node.js channel. If you want to ask anything to me directly, there's the Ask Arnav live channel. You can go and ask there. Cool. By the way, we added a project showcase. If anybody wants to showcase any projects that they have made, even this project, if you're doing and you finish and you want to showcase it, you can submit it to project showcase. And everybody else, please go and check out the projects that people are submitting on project showcase, and check them out. Any feedback that's available you can give to them, any suggestions to improve those projects you have for the people, do that. So my idea is I want to create a community of people who want to build stuff using mobile technologies like Android, Flutter and all of that, and web technologies like Vue, React, Node.js, Django and all of that, so that it's a place where we can together learn, build projects, show it to each other. And even like from a career perspective, there are a lot of companies, a lot of jobs where They are interested in people who can build projects rather than just do DSA. So, and there are a lot of people who are interested in building a career in that direction. I did that myself. So my idea is to be able to create a community where we can foster people growing in that direction. Okay, so please come on board on Discord, and we can keep discussing more such stuff, and we'll continue having more such sessions. This project, I think another couple of sessions would be able to end. Business logic would need another, and then testing and security and stuff, we can do another session, and I think we will be ending this particular project. Cool. See you all on a later date. I think maybe tomorrow, most likely. I will inform on the Discord channel whenever the next session gets scheduled. So have a nice day, everybody. Bye bye.